So thank you very much for the invitation for this again the internship program, summer internship program. I congratulate the organizing team for taking much interest and pain in organizing this summer internship program. I think consecutive for second or third year. Thank you so much. Regarding today's topic, South Asia river system, strategic interplays of regional powers in the South Asian region. We all know that we living in South Asian region occupies very important, what do you say, as in many aspects. Number one is 60% of the world population lives in the South Asian region. Apart from that, we know many resources, many cultures, and many strategic choke points are here in the South Asia. So being three nuclear countries, if we include China, almost 50% of the world's nuclear power countries are lies in this region, India, Pakistan, and China. In this context, if you see today's topic, that how these river basins make us to strategic interest over the regional powers. We all know that water is need of the hour. We know as a statistic says that the stress for drinking water or clean water is 75% in Asian region compared to it's much high when you compare to other continents except Antarctica. If you consider we have some 3,500 chemical water per person per year. So in this context, we need so much population living here. So we need clean water. Apart from that, from water resources, we are using many projects, many resources for their livelihood. That's why this South Asian region is important for the regional powers to, I cannot say the use of resources, particularly the water resources for increase the power potential. This is what they are almost they want to overtake this. Yeah. So here we have very important river basins too, like Indus, Ganges, Mekong. South Asian region entirely deals with it consists of many water bodies. As a defense studies students or political science students, we have to think about theoretical aspects of what theory, so which is involves in this. Number one, we all know this realism theory. So now every nation wants to increase the power potential. That's what every nation wants to do. It's not an idealistic world. We are not living in an idealistic world. Every small power. That's why we see even our own neighbors won't come into line with all aspects. And that's why in the international parlance we say there is no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only the national interest remains the same. In this context of realistic policy, every nation wants to increase their power potential by using whatever resources they have, as well as by alliances, but counter alliances. The only thing they want to do is they increase the power potential, national power in all aspects. We know there is so much elements of national power. We take the elements of national power, we have tangible elements as well as intangible elements. If we take the tangible elements, geography plays an important role in determining one nation's national power. The same way, in the intangible element, if we say leadership plays an important role in determining the national power. If we take geography, that's why the river basins, how the strategic locations, what locations we are, whom we are neighboring with, who are our littoral states, who are in neighbor states. These are all very important in the international politics. So India, as you know, that being in an Indian subcontinent, we are tension while almost all these 78, 79 years, either with the border issues or with the sharing of water or with refugee crisis, any nuclear crisis, whatever it is. And we are entangled with two adversaries. Already we have one adversary right from the day one of the emergence of India, that is Pakistan. Then later on, after a decade or so, we too had a confrontation with China in 1962. So we have two adversaries as our neighbors. Fortunately, unfortunately, we do sharing our rivers with both the nations, China as well as Pakistan. If you take China, they are in the upper hands, saying that second theory, which revolves around this topic is one is realism, as I said. Another important theory we can put it here is environmental security theory. That's why we need water. Water brings the greatest threat or greatest resources for these sort of environments. Then if you identify the resources competition, then we have scarcity of resources competition. This all increase the power struggle in the South Asian region. With these two theories, that is environmental security theory as well as realism theory, we put into this topic, particularly the South Asian region and how the strategic nations interplays. These two theories plays an important role. As a defense studies students, you should know how this theory works. For example, first one, environmental security theory, if you take into it, and which identifies water scarcity and resources competition as a direct triggers for regional instability. We have to look into it. If you want a stable region, South Asian region, there is no forum or there is no any concrete mechanism where we can share our resources, particularly the water resources between our states. So it's evolving measures. We are day by day, day to day, we are evolving certain measures. Then we find faults with them. Then this treaty gone. So again, we are negotiating to each other. This going on is a continuous process. For example, in one context in this region, particularly the triggering point is Brahmaputra region context you can take, where the management of transboundary flows acts as a threat multiplier, where ecological degradation and seasonal volatility undermine the socio-economic fabric of the downstream states. Here in this theory, the students has to understand the geolocation of the nation states. Some nations in the upstream, some nations in the downstream. In the South Asian region, if you take the context, China is in upstream. Then comes all the South Asian nations, India, Pakistan, Nepal, the forget about Nepal, other states, Sri Lanka, it all comes under the downstream states. So the advantage the water resources is upstream countries always advantage. Since they catch a belt, the river beds, the upstream countries, they have an advantage, they have a say over the downstream countries. That's thing we have to understand. How we geographically place, where you geographically place, how our neighbors are advantagely placed in certain aspects, particularly in the geolocation aspects. Second aspect is we all know that seven nations, we have C.A.R.C.E association, but C.A.R.C.E association has no any tooth to nail down any of the policies. Purely is not a strategic alliance or any armed or military pact. The C.A.R.C.E nations, we aligned only for the socio-cultural aspects. So there is no mechanism. Even for economic, we are trying, but it's not taking off, or whatever it is, like a European Union, African Union, American Union. We cannot have the system here for Asian Union where we can involve C.A.R.C.E and ASEAN nations together and form a single currency and be it like that. But we tried once and when the crisis erupts in the early 2000, but it's not worked well. So second theory we have put it here is a realism theory. This framework views the basin through the lens of national interest and power maximization. It interrupts like lack of multilateral cooperation. As I said, there is no multilateral cooperation between the nations as a rational outcome of hegemon like China, particularly, which prioritize absolute control over the shared resources to achieve relative gains over its rivals. They are doing it. China is strategically, then they are planning ahead or 15 years, 20 years ahead, they are planning the how to safer the water resources, available water resources in the context. So they're constructing the dams, the many hydroelectric projects. They are done effectively well. We too in India, if you take from 2005, we identify 15. We identify there is a commission for this. We identify nearly more than 20 hydroelectric projects in the and our river basins. But actually speaking, even in today's paper, if you say Indian Express or Hindu, it clearly says that India drops the 7 of its hydroelectric projects, future hydro projects in the Himalayan ranges. Why is it so? By taking the real reason for environment as well as the livelihood of the people, we stopped the hydroelectric project. We actually identified it. But actually speaking, 7 projects, hydroelectric project is already commissioned or it's in almost done level of projects is going on in the hydroelectric project in the Ganges, particularly the Ganges. So remaining projects, they halted, or we can say it's a past, the projects. We have to look into it. Why we pass? What is the advantage of hydroelectric projects? We lack energy. Energy is another where from electricity we are but through hydro projects, through these dams, constructing of dams, they are generating so many resources, oil resources or energy resources. This is going to cut off if you are not commissioning another 10 or 15 hydro projects in the future. It's not going to affect us, it's going to affect the future. But taking into climatic change into account, about the ecological balance into account, about the livelihood of the account, so we consider, okay, 7 hydro projects is already on the Ganges. That's a good sign. Apart from that, if you come into the water sharing problem, the resources scarcity, yes, it's there. But in this particular region, what is the triggering point? What is a flashpoint in the future where we have to look into very cautiously? As a defense studies students, we have to keen watch on what's going on in Iran and Israel, how US is playing now, waging war against Iran, how Iran's reaction or Iran's action over Israel attack of February 28th is the entire region, entire West Asia is affected by the Iran's attack on almost like dozens of countries. In this context, South Asia became very important aspects. Another, like West Asia, South Asia is also very, very, very volatile now, saying that by seeing that always we have wedge of flashpoint, nuclear flashpoints, even you can say. Even in Pahalgam episode, Trump said, I intervened, I peace broker and all. But there is some cautious from Western powers as well as from the other powers that being both the nations or nuclear countries, we should not encourage to escalate the war. So the ceasefire has to come immediately. That is the only reason where India has accepted to called off the attack after the Pahalgam episode. Operation Sindoor was stopped, and we are fortunate it stopped. It's not the dragging war or pronged war, but what is the outcome of this war is, or what is the flashpoint? Anytime it can be figures is the Indus Water Treaty. After the Pahalgam incident, we totally stopped or come out of the treaty, Indus Water Treaty, which is signed, which is there for more than 4 decades. But what are the repercussions of that? After the suspension of the Indus Water treaty, what is the repercussions both the nations, India and Pakistan, is facing, or in the future we are going to face? That I want to highlight here. For India, yes, we are telling almost like 25, 30 years, Pakistan waging a proxy war, encouraging terrorism in India. That's why we, from 1990, we are climbing that, we are telling to the world nations that Pakistan is indulging in this proxy war. Even the ISI is involving in so many terrorist activities in India. The bombing is taking place, kidnapping is taking place, even the flights hijack is taking place by some of the terrorist organizations. They are put in Bihar. But these are some of the issues which is worrisome in the national security issue as well as in the South Asian region context. But with all this, we have the treaty. After this Pahalgam incident, we totally stopped the treaty, or we withdraw the treaty, whatever we committed in the Indus Water Treaty. What we expect now? We so many negotiations has happened even during the Sindoor, after the Operation Sindoor. Pakistan wants India to rethink the ban on Indus Water Treaty, or where they say that some negotiation has to be taken place over Indus Water Treaty. We said nothing doing, no. What we expect is reciprocity of the good faith. That's the first thing we expect from the Pakistan. What India argues that in international treaties, whatever international treaties, whether the Simla Accord or in the Indus Water Treaty, or we sign different international treaties, whatever treaty it is, it should be a two-way approach. We should also respect to the treaty. They should also respect to it. The mutual understanding should be there. Mutual trust has to be there. We are telling that we didn't have any trust over Pakistan by seeing all these years what Pakistan is indulging in, inculcating the terrorist activities in our northeastern part or in the Jammu Kashmir or in other parts of India. We said that this is not going to help to build the goodwill among the two nations. Second is development reckoning. That is it's an asymmetric arrangements. Okay, that surrendered 80% of water to Pakistan. Well, you can say India own development in Jammu Kashmir. That's the second interesting point is being the upstream country, Pakistan being the downstream, we agree to share nearly 80% of the water to Pakistan for the livelihood, for the other things. But now we are thinking it. Now, with the, apart from humanitarian and all, see, national security is important. So, being keep on the indulging in terrorist activities, we are not going to take it up. So, we say that no, we need development reckoning has to be done. So, there is no more Indus Water Treaty to be recognized. What again India needing is that, again, as I said, under unlocking the hydropower, suspension allows India to bypass design restrictions on the western rivers, particularly on Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, potentially enabling the full realization of untapped hydropower potential, which is in Jammu Kashmir, which is going to help us in energy areas. Then second, what India's rationale and objectives for India over this strategic rationale or suspension of Indus water is leverage of renegotiation. That's we need. India, always we should go for negotiations. There is no doubt on it. India's policy is talks, negotiations. But we have the cross now. The abeyance of the Indus Water Treaty is almost there. We won't going to stop it. We are not going to rethink over it. It's going to stop. Then we have negotiation, sit in the negotiation, we can sit it out, we can talk it out. That's different. But the important objectives, the rational and objectives for India is reciprocity of good faith, developmental reckoning, unlocking hydropower, and leverage over reorganization. This is renegotiation. These are the four objectives we needed. But seeing Indus Water Treaty, then we stop the Indus Water Treaty. We come out of this. India's released the many what you call as circulars, many press meets saying that we are going to stop the Indus Water Treaty. But Pakistan wants to be immediately at the earliest it should be followed up. It should be Indus Water Treaty to be the uh, what do you call it? Indus Treaty going to be in force. But India said no. So what is the implications for Indo-Pakistan in the relations in future is there can be a military conflict. Okay, two nation 4-day conflict. After the abeyance of Indus Water Treaty, Pakistan attacked us. The Operation Sindoor, we waged a war for 4 days in May 25, almost like a year. So we are going to, almost like a year. May we had a skirmishes over the Pakistan. So that's going to be happen. So second thing is diplomatic breakdown. Now we don't have any diplomatic relations. Particularly, we say that unless Pakistan come forward for clear-cut negotiations or agreements, it's not going to happen. Then Pakistan wants to internationalize this dispute, internationalize the India-Pakistan disputes or whatever it is. They want US to intervene for this between India and Pakistan issue, or UN Security Council has to come. But India always said that, according to the Shimla Agreement, whatever personal disputes, whatever the bilateral issues, it can be solved bilaterally. Should be no third-party intervention. So, last implications can be existential security threat for Pakistan, low rebel country. Any disruption in Indus, its primary lifeline is viewed as an existential threat. Pakistan's military doctrine permits a kinetic response to water diversion, raising the risk of full-scale nuclear conflicts. That's what I said. So that is the strong point where international pressure has come up in India and Pakistan to whatever the problem we have, whatever the tension we have, they want us to talk it in talk, negotiate, and solve our bilateral issues. Then push towards the war. We also know that war is not going to be the solution, but war is we all know that war is the other, what do you call it as, other means of following our international relations. That's what we are pushed to always, we push to that extent where we use military forces for overcoming our international, what do you call it as, attacks or Pakistan's covert activities like what do you call it as terrorist activities. Then third important thing or the implications, immediate technical and legal impact is there. One is cessation of data sharing. This is not after this incident of Pelgam, then with droppage of Indus Water Treaty, there is no official communication between India and Pakistan in how much we are sharing water. That's going to be risk flow. How much the data has not come in proper way. Forecasting, drought risks. These are all one of the ecological or environmental issues. Next thing, legal gray areas are there. Like on the Indus Water Treaty contains no provisional unilateral suspension. It's there in that, but we withdraw. There is no provision like that, universal withdrawal or unilateral suspension. But India's move puts the legal gray zone where it has begun rejecting authority of permanent court of arbitration. Also, we cannot go in the Hague. So there's another important aspect, termination of joint oversight. The suspension ends inspection for any form of dialogue through the Permanent Indus Commission. So India this time stern firm in negotiating with Pakistan. They said that enough is enough. So Indus water treaty, why they also scared is the water becoming very scarce part even for Pakistan. If Indus water sharing is not happening, as I said, 80% of the Pakistan's water body comes from here. If we stop, that definitely it's going to affect them with the economically, then as well as the each and every livelihood Pakistan going to be jeopardized. So with this, it's not only the Pakistan side. If you take the Indian side from other side, what India can face the risk of being the overcoming of the Indus Water Treaty is important factor is China factor. China factor we can take an important factor. Even though it's between India and Pakistan, we all know that China is not indirectly, directly supporting Pakistan in almost all aspects between India and Pakistan. So coming back to the China factor, India's unilateral move sets a precedent that could prompt China to block or divert the Brahmaputra River, which provides roughly 30% of India's fresh water and 44% of the hydro power potential. This is so important. India can do, then China can reciprocate us from India. What India is doing with Pakistan, China also can do with us. That's the English issue here. Second important strategic risk India taking is internal infrastructure vulnerability. India currently lacks the reservoir capacity to store or divert large volumes of water. So that's why we are not ahead of China. We are much lower than China because the infrastructure projects which China constructed in the literal rivers basins is huge. We are not even a touch 50% or 40% of it. So internal infrastructure vulnerability is there. Even though we have few infrastructures, that is the risk during the times of war. So third one is if natural calamity comes like flooding, what will happen to a population? Being the downstream countries, upstream countries, okay. China being the upstream country, that gives us the threat. Being India being the downstream countries, that's going to be one of the biggest threat India is facing or even is going to face. The next thing is reputational damage. That's more important. Reputational damage is happening among the global powers where India is not obliging to whatever the US and other countries are saying. We have to think it over. Last one, we can say that humanitarian and legal instability. It's there. The water-induced crisis in Pakistan could lead to refugee crisis. We all know, even in 1971 war, we waged war only because of refugee crisis, which erupts in the unstable Bangladesh. Now, even though we have a new Bangladesh government, if we say 2022, how they re-emerge, how they backtrack the Bangladesh development or Bangladesh economic power is after the floods they faced in 2022, very heavy damage. It's happened in Bangladesh, almost they are collapsed economically as well as the flood system is very bad. But after that, they're thinking over and coming up is very, very noteworthy among the Bangladesh. So if we take another important aspects, as I said, that strategic risk India can take is humanitarian regional instability. This war, this whatever the water interdicted crisis in Pakistan could lead to refugee crisis. That is, increased violence may happen and the empowerment of non-state actors which become ultimately harm India's long-term stability and economic gift. This is more important. If we take a humanitarian issue, the water-induced crisis in Pakistan lead to refugee crisis, increased regional violence. increase regional violence and empowerment of non-state actors, and which would ultimately harm India's own long-term stability and economic goals. This is going to be the potential strategic risks India is undertaking by cancelling the Indus Water Treaty with Pakistan. This is the one aspect I take for example. This is how we have it even in the India-China agreement in Ganges, Brahmaputra with Bangladesh, and other GLM treaty we have with Pakistan. But these are some of the river basins and three important. Even if we take Bangladesh, all the little states, all the South Asian states are interested in the sharing of water resources. As I said in the initial, water is a crucial element of resources in the future. We have water stress, particularly in South Asia region. All the regional, because of population, 60% of the world's population lives here. So we have 74% of water stress we are facing compared to other continents. So Indian subcontinent is having the water stress. As a defense studies students, we should understand what is the mechanisms available of sharing of this water resources, how this going to affect the how this water resources is increasing the national power, increasing the potential of regional power. Then if something disrupts over the sharing of water, definitely it's going to affect the each and every livelihood of the population residing in the Indian subcontinent and in the South Asian region. So every nation states, that's why very keen in hydro projects in this region to get much benefit out of from the water so that they can increase the national potential. So this is where I stopped here. So we have to sum up here. We have to think into two important theories: environmental security theory as well as realistic theory. With these two theories in mind, you have to approach this topic, that is the South Asian rivers, how the strategic interplays in the regional security. Then we have to set up the second important aspect you should know apart next to theory is geolocation, that is a topography where India lies, how the other South Asian regions lies, where China is, how where from Himalayan region, how the water flows, who are the upstream countries, who are the downstream countries, how the downstream countries why they are struggling to get waters, or why they are fought for water with the upstream countries. This second thing we have to understand properly. Third one is what is the regional interest among the India, Pakistan, China over the sharing of river waters. If you say one angle with the Pakistan, we should think that what will happen if China takes the same stand what India is taking with the Pakistan. This all we have to keenly watch what policies our forefathers has done with us, why the Indus Water Treaty was signed actually. Before signing of Indus Water Treaty itself, so many negotiations happened, more than 10 years. It started from 1947, 48 itself. Even erased 58, 60, the negotiations we did with the Indus Water Treaty, then only we signed. But unfortunately, after the Pahalgam incident, we are not following any international treaty, particularly on Indus Water Treaty. That's where I stop. Any questions? We can take up one or two questions, then we can end up the session.
Good morning, sir. I'm Yashita.
Yeah.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You're audible. Go
Yes,
ahead.
sir. So my question is about GWT. The question is that we can see a recent political landscape shift in Dhaka. Particularly, we can see Tariq Rahman-led BNP has been rising significantly, and also Bangladesh is also involved with infrastructural development with China as well. And particularly this year, we can notice that in the late 2026, the GWT treaty is also getting expired after 30 years.
Yeah.
So, will this affect India's relation with Bangladesh, in particularly the GWT, because of this political shift?
Definitely, madam. Definitely. See, as I said, even our relations with Bangladesh is day by day worsening. If you know that, we know the history of Bangladesh, how it comes, how it evolves. Initially, it's a very zigzag relations only with India and Pakistan. That's why even in Indian political system, always we criticize the foreign policy which Indian governments are following with the Bangladesh. But in recent happenings, particularly after this recent last 2 years, what's happening in Bangladesh, it's they go very, not go close, almost they are aligned with China now. So that's becoming the serious threat to us. So how to overcome this Bangladesh with the help of China, with the help of Bangladesh, they can jeopardy our strategic relations with Bangladesh. Not only that, we have to keenly watch China's intention over Bangladesh, over Nepal, over Sri Lanka, Myanmar. We have to look into it. There, as you said, the infrastructure development, particularly saving of water resources, the funding by the China is, we have to take it very, what do you call as, cautious way, how it's going to affect us in the future. Definitely, it's not in the safer side or friendly side. There
Thank
is
you, sir.
every reason put into abeyance also.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. See, the young fellows, all the young fellows, we have to look into it and come out with solutions. That's more important. That's, I leave it to you. It can be, see, problems is there. We are not saying that in international relations, each and every day, every new problem is coming up. So we have to find the solutions to, right? So we know it's not that no problem is not having any solutions. Every problem has solutions, but it can be a simple solutions too. But many leaders have failed to understand this. But keep in mind humanitarian considerations, ecological considerations. Then you come up with solutions. Then you try to study it and bring out any conflict. We have a resolution for that. We have a solution for that. So as youngsters, you can bring many solutions where we can put up, we can encourage those solutions to be carried forward in the future. Particularly the Gen Z revolution happening in Nepal, happening in many places. So they have the different sort of attitudes over the problems. So if we boomers and all think that it's a big problem, but youngsters think that is not at all a problem. Who said it's a problem? Go ahead. And they have different attitudes. So with that, we come up with different solutions. What's happening in Nepal? We have to keenly watch what the policies going to they evolve, what are the manifestations they're going to give, how the diplomatic relations going to be with the Nepal and India. That's a very one of the important case study for the defense studies students as well as the political science students. Any other questions, sir?
Good morning, sir.
Yes,
Aryan
sir.
here. Sir, you have mentioned about the different treaties between India, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, India,
Audible.
Nepal
You are
also.
not audible. You are not audible.
Hello,
Can you
hello.
raise
Am I?
your? Yeah.
So, sir, I wanted to ask that you have mentioned about the treaties between India, Pakistan, India, Nepal, India, Bangladesh also. So, does India and Sri Lanka have any such relations with treaties and etc.? Because the distance is comparatively larger, distance between India and Pakistan as per the river or any such sea route is comparatively large between India and Sri Lanka. So, does India, Sri Lanka have any relations with treaties and
See,
how these countries
India,
manage?
India, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, India, China, we are sharing the common rivers. Okay. So one being the upstream country, one being the downstream country, we have the problem in sharing of waters. Even in Sri Lanka, the Park state is there. No? So we have in Tamil Nadu, there are very long issues where Kachathi, they said that it's belong to India, then they're giving to, already they gave it to Sri Lanka. That's a wrong move. That is one of the main strategic players or resourceful players. We gave it to Sri Lanka. So we have friendly relations with Sri Lanka almost for 60, 70 years. The Indian government is keeping in track. But there also, you can find that China's influence in Sri Lanka, particularly the infrastructure developments, where we see in Sri Lanka after the post-war, last 5, 6 years, dramatic Chinese presence is there in almost in every inch of Sri Lanka. That also we have to look into it. But as far as this Indus Water Treaty or Ganges Treaty, we don't have any water treaty with Sri Lanka. We have other treaties, of course, the trade treaties. We have fishermen issues going on. Always we have the day by day, day to day. The issue between the Sri Lanka and India is the fishermen issues going on. Long term issues. There is no clear cut demarcation in the littoral waters. So that's a big problem. Even our fishermen is going beyond our nautical minds. There is no issue of Sri Lankan, what is that, fishermen is coming to our Indian, but Indian fishermen is going beyond a little stretch because of the fishing only. And nothing else, because we all know that in that particular place we have the larger fishes or some unique fish varieties is available. So our fishermen knows. That's why they're almost they're daily they're going beyond the nautical miles and catching fish and coming back. Sometimes they're caught by the Sri Lankan naval forces and the arresting. Then the huge cry is happening here. But again, we have to see that there should be a concrete policy where the demarcation of the literal boundary has to be laid down between India and Sri Lanka, so that or some treaties has to be signed where our fishermen go freely and go fishing and come back. So this day-to-day happenings can be stopped. Thank you for
Thank you
raising.
so much, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions, please? Can anyone here tell me how this internship is helping you? How this internship program can enhance in the future? I think you all UG or PG students of different studies, all the attendees, right? Can anyone tell me the feedback of it? Aryan or Yashita or whoever it is. I'm not seeing any other name here. Anyone from organizing team here? From C.A.R.c.E? Yukesh, Kaushik Raj, Logeshwari. Anybody here? Okay.
Sir, actually, this internship is helping, like, it's developing the interest in the field of maritime sector.
Okay.
Plus, also, it's increase of a knowledge, understanding different aspects, the relation of countries and how the trade is happening and how the small things are involved there.
Okay. Okay. So as you said, the international trade is a big aspect. Okay, one of the or a larger context. But in national security issue or defense studies point of view, you can concentrate on trade also. That is a big scope for your research as well as for the job placements. You can take up a bigger role as a trade. So everything in defense studies, whatever it is, I used to say, if the what you call as national security paradigm has shift from the national security boundaries to the comprehensive security. Once we deal with the comprehensive security, defense studies, we have to cover all aspects of our livelihood, whether it's a trade. See, between the Iran-Israel war, Strait of Hormuz. How many laymen knows the Strait of Hormuz before the Iran war? I don't know. Now everyone talk about the Hormuz because every individual in India costing us much, giving 4 rupees more on petrol, so they know why it is costing them dear. So what's happening in Iran, West Asia, why the Strait of Hormuz is important now, how the ships are coming up, how the cargo ships are coming up, how the state is will become very strategic importance. And now the relevance of uh, crude oil coming from Iran. These are all every layman is speaking now. So it's affecting our livelihood. So defense studies students has to keen on even the trade agreements, not only military agreements. We have to keen on what is the trade agreements is going to happen. What is the other? See, for example, Modi went there, Prime Minister in Norway. Both the countries talk. What are the agreements they're basically doing is each and every, it's a national interest. So every student of defense studies has to know how this is going to help us in a decade's time, in a 20 years time. What are the areas, convergence areas, what are the divergent areas? We can see we have divergent issues. That's not, and we are not saying international, as I said, in between nations, there is a divergent issues. We are not saying, we are not denying it, but try to increase the convergence issues. If you have more convergent, we don't mind few and divergent issues, but you should not allow divergent issues to be elaborate. That's the problem then. It's good and help us. I'm glad this internship program or whatever the CARC doing is instigating the national security and international relations or maritime security into the young minds. So it's good.